the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. Go get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting old, man. Getting old. I don't know what the hell day it is anymore, but I think it's Wednesday. So hope you're having a good week. Yeah, it's been all right over here. I'm enjoying the weather. It's cooling down. Still in the 80s for the high, but it's it's got a nice feel to the crisp fall air in the morning, it feels like, and leaves are when we were coming back from Tahoe the other day, the aspens were changing, so it's nice. It's cooling down, and if you ignore the rest of the shit going on in the world, life's pretty all right. Life is pretty all right, and I like to think that it will be going forward, but there's a chance it won't. Boy, people really need to settle the fuck down over in Europe. Yeah, or we could just bow out however ungracefully and just say, fuck it, you guys settle it. We're going to stay over here. But that's not the world we live in, so we better talk about we probably better talk about Russia, Ukraine. Well, for example here, this is the front page of Drudge Report, which still a pretty widely trafficked website. NATO nuke deterrent exercises next week. NATO. UAE reaches out to Putin. Brutal missile assaults continue just miles from NATO border. Russia taps General Armageddon. Kremlin warhawks demand more. Bomb back to the 19th century. This was a neat one. The Kiev Lion badly injured. Or Kiev Lion. Kiev. I grew up saying Kiev, and by God, I'm gonna say Kiev because that's what's. I mean, honestly, if anybody knows shitty diner food, nobody says chicken Kiev. They say chicken Kiev. So, anyways, I rest my case on that. New round of nuclear brinksmanship. Awesome. Biden scrambles to avert cracks in coalition. Musk denies he talked to Vlad ahead of tweet. I don't know what that one's all about. Shall we see? Maybe we shall. From the Hill, Tesla CEO Elon Musk is denying claims by Ian Bremmer, president of political risk research firm Eurasia Group. Spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin before posting a controversial tweet implying that Ukraine should not retake more land from Russia than it has lost this year. I had a comment on Instagram, I believe, told me that he mistyped, said he can even listen to the episode because I say so much. But I think he meant can't. Either way, I told him I'm glad that I was able to enhance his listening experience. And now it's got me freaked out every time I say it's like ringing in my ear. So I'm probably not going to stop saying it, but just know that I am aware of it now. There we go. That was another one. Musk had a direct conversation with Putin about the war, Bremer wrote in a newsletter on Monday, and is convinced that the Russian dictator will use nuclear weapons against Ukraine if the smaller country does not back down. That's alarming, I guess. If this is a foreign policy expert, and he is pretty sure that Putin's going to use nukes, so that's neat. Bremer, a well-known foreign policy analyst, wrote that he had spoken to Musk 2 weeks ago, and that Musk had told him of the conversation with Putin. But a short time after a news story in Vice News about Bremer's newsletter was published, Musk tweeted denial of the claim. I've spoken to Putin only once, and that was about 18 months ago. The subject matter was space, wrote Musk. Bremer said Putin told Musk he would accomplish certain goals no matter what, including Russia's continued possession of Crimea, Ukraine's acceptance of a formal status of neutrality, and Ukraine's recognition of Putin's annexations of Luhansk, Donetsk, and control of Kherson and Zaporizhia. Don't know why I said that with a kind of a Mexican accent, but there we go. Zaporizhia. That was another one. So anyway, random Instagram guy. I'm aware. I say Putin held widely contested referendums. Okay, so this is just nonsense, but on that note, like the Ukrainians really hate Elon Musk now because he tweeted something out about achieving a diplomatic solution, one that, of course, includes Ukraine ceding territory to Russia and probably some sort of neutrality. Yeah, I forget exactly what I said, but it sounded pretty reasonable, unless you're coming from like the hard line, Ukraine will give up no territory stance, which is, I think, kind of crazy at this point. Like, it sucks for the Ukrainians. Really, really sucks. They're getting butt fucked right now. There's no better way to put it. They're really just getting it right up the old keister. And yeah, it sucks, but we are rapidly approaching nuclear war, it seems like. Russia, Putin has threatened the use of it. And since he has annexed this territory, which was a shit show, just as it might be the biggest shit show of the war, honestly. Like, it's not gone great for Russia. Like, they're still winning for the most part, but it hadn't gone good. They got one of their major warships sunk. They've lost a lot of dudes. They've had to like partially mobilize their, for like a war, like a full out war footing, where they've up until this point, or they're still calling it a special military exercise, but now they're throwing around terrorist terminology quite a bit. And I was talking with a couple different people, and I've listened to it, and I've thought the same thing myself. But it's Russia has this weird like OCD about like international law and norms. So like, even though what they've done in Ukraine is just an all out invasion of of their neighbor, and really kind of wreaked havoc. But the way they've gone about it has been like very technical, by the book, before they went in and did the butt fucking. It was like they got so-called consent signed or whatever. And so like before they invaded, they went ahead and what not unacknowledged, but acknowledge, recognized the independence of Luhansk and Donetsk. And then they went ahead and rolled in, but then also like rolled into large chunks of Ukraine. So, but they recognized those two republics as independent, and then declared their support for him and rolled in with military support. So technically, they did it by the book. I mean, at least to start, and then the same way with this annexation deal, they like the elections are in no rational way legitimate. I don't know if any election is truly legitimate, but this one not by any means. They had the one region saying 99.23% of the vote was for joining Russia, which there's a good chance if they actually did hold a fair, open, internationally recognized election with no fuckery involved, there's a pretty good chance those regions would vote to join the Russian Federation anyways, because they're majority ethnic Russians in that part of Ukraine. So anyway, but the way they did it obviously wasn't legitimate, but they went through the motions of having these elections before they say, oh, this is ours now. It is Russia. But they under international law, I don't know how exactly by the book, they've at least like made a show of like, hey, this is legitimate. This is legitimate. Never mind all the talk of war crimes and the constant like artillery barrage in the east. Like that Mariupol city is just like, I mean, it looks like something out of France and Belgium and Germany during World War II. Just the whole city is just a pile of rubble, and so yeah, they're obviously not in the right by any means, but we don't seem to be pushing very hard to get it to stop. The Ukrainians say they're not going to sit down with Russia unless Putin's out of office. Well, unless Putin dies all of a sudden, that's not happening. So that's neat. Joe Biden just sat down. I've got a clip I'll play later on a different topic, but from the same interview. But Jake Tapper sat down with Biden for a one-on-one interview. It was like 15 minutes. So, I mean, as far as media, like your traditional media, cable news, 15 minutes, that's like a marathon interview. So got a little bit of insight there, but he talked about how he doesn't believe Putin is an irrational actor, which I don't think he is either. I don't think the guy's crazy. That's that's the thing that I a lot of the the political leaders will try to, particularly the war hawkish type people, they'll try to convince you that Putin is just crazy and he has to be stopped at all costs. And I think he is crazy to an extent, but I think he's a rational actor. He's acting in his, what he believes of Russia's best benefit. And so in this this interview, I happen to agree with Joe Biden on a couple of points that he made on Russia in particular, but he also made the point that he has no plans to sit down and visit with him and like come to the negotiating table. So that's not a great sign. That just, like, the longer we put that off and the more money and weapons we throw into Ukraine, the more Russians die, sure. but the more Ukrainians die, and probably at a faster rate than the Russians. Maybe not, but we're getting ready to go into winter. Russia has this partial mobilization where they're calling up their reservists, and they're also drafting a bunch of particularly like anti-war activists that they're drafting into their army, and those are gonna, like, those conscripts are probably gonna be just cannon fodder, just thrown right into the meat grinder. And speaking of meat grinders, got another topic to talk about later. Doesn't necessarily have to do with Biden, but it's about my thoughts on meat grinders. So I think you'll enjoy that. But anyway, they called up all these reservists, which they're going to ship out to like the far eastern part, the Siberia, and they're on the coast, on the Pacific coast. Those reservists will go out to there, relieve the people that are at those posts, and those people will get sent to the front lines because they're trained up, well, all that, and they're probably just gonna lie in, like, build up defenses in those new annexed regions. So I should pull up a map of Ukraine, because I wonder. I truly wonder how many of these people that like really advocate for supporting Ukraine at all costs, like even know where it's at, what it looks like, and I have to, anytime I'm like trying to actually talk with any sort of certainty, I always have to go back to the map. And make sure I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But Ukraine's it's kind of a weird shaped country. It's a big country, and for the most part, it's you can see why Russia wants where what they or why they've occupied what they've occupied. So here's a come on, you bastard. But anyway, this red area here. So you got Russia over here, and Ukraine is this big area over here. And in the early part of the war, they made advances all the way up into here by Kiev, but that was more just to distract Ukrainian forces away from the east and the south, which is where they're occupied now. So you got the Luhansk and Donetsk are over here, and then Zaporizhia and Kherson. And they took these two because that gives them a land bridge from Crimea, which they annexed back in 2014. But Crimea is out here kind of on an island, not a true island, but when compared to the rest of Russia, it's out there on an island. So what they did is they secured water access to Crimea because they have a problem with water supply. It has to come in from up here, and then they also are able to move troops and arms and supplies over to Crimea from mainland Russia without having to use a bridge and without having to go through Ukrainian territory, or at least unoccupied Ukrainian territory. These regions probably are not going to go back to Ukraine. I would bet. I would guess. I'm not going to bet, but I would guess those regions are not going back to Ukraine. But I would imagine the way they're gearing up now is all these new reinforcements coming from Russia are going to set up. They're going to get entrenched, and you're going to have kind of like the conditions of the Battle of the Bulge, just constant artillery shelling all up and down here. And the part that really escalated, so down here by Crimea, as you can see, it's it's like I said, it's kind of an island, a peninsula, I guess, but it's only about 12 miles from mainland Russia over the Black Sea, and they built a bridge, and it just got completed, 2018 or something like that. So they annexed Crimea, and they immediately built this bridge, and I guess it was like this like crown jewel and Russian and Putin app or what the fuck ever. Kind of the same thing with the Nord Stream pipeline. It was a more efficient way for Russia to move their stuff to where they needed to go. So the Nord Stream is sending natural gas directly from Mother Russia into Germany and the rest of Europe. Same way this bridge connects mainland Russia with Crimea. Well, it got blown up over the weekend. Probably done by Ukrainian special forces or paramilitary groups, commandos, however you want to call it. I don't know what exactly they are. We also heard a report from the U.S. intelligence community also believes that the chick that got assassinated in Russia, Alexander Dugin's daughter. Alexander Dugin is kind of, depending on who you talk to, they'll say he's either like Putin's right-hand man or like his lead philosopher / religious advisor, kind of like a Rasputin character, or he's more than anything. He's definitely influential, but it sounds like he's more like a Steve Bannon type, where he's more of a philosopher and kind of media personality. And he's like he's a hardcore ultra Russian nationalist. Like, I don't know so much on the economic sense. I don't think he's a communist. I think he's more just a kind of a Russian imperialist, where Russia needs to take back territory and restore the empire to the like Catherine the Great or whoever at the height of the Russian Empire. That's what they want to go back to, and I think Putin's kind of in that camp, but to a lesser extent than this dude. But anyway, they tried to assassinate him. Got his daughter instead. I don't know if that was an oopsie or I think it was an accident, thinking her dad was going to be in the car, and they got him instead. But they also, the Ukrainians also kind of came out and said that yeah, but she kind of deserved it anyways. But our intelligence community kind of came out and said quietly that like, we're pretty sure that the Ukrainians did that. And we didn't really authorize that. We thought that was, and if we had known they were going to do that, we probably would have vetoed it. But we're not really cool with that, I guess. And yeah, that's neat. So if you remember back when Rand Paul got torched after bringing up the idea of putting a inspector general over the funding that we're sending to Ukraine, so at least have some sort of idea of where the hell it's going and stuff. Well, that got shot down. If you'll remember, they said, no, we just need to send them the money now. And no oversight at all. And it sounds like it's kind of looking that way with the military there too. The Ukrainian troops, is they're kind of going off on their own deal because, well, they're fighting a war of survival. We're just using them as a proxy to get at Russia, and they're kind of doing things their way. and that could have some really bad consequences. I think more and more as the facts come out, we're going to see that the whole Nord Stream pipeline bombing was probably done by some combination of CIA/special forces, uh, Poland, and Ukraine. Some combination of those three. Poland's really got an axe to grind with both Ukraine, Germany, and Russia. They kind of hate all of them because of all the people in World War II that really got butt fucked, it was probably Poland. They really got it bad from both sides, and so they have there's no love lost there, and they also stand to gain a bunch from increased usage of their pipeline as well as getting transfer fees for Russian natural gas that gets routed through Poland. So, and as well as Ukraine too, they've got pipelines that going through there, and they stand to gain more money by the Nord Stream not happening, and it also happens to take Russia's main bargaining chip, particularly this close to winter, right off the table. And so, from the beginning, I didn't see it making much sense that Russia did it. Still possible, but you add that with this bridge attack, and then the chick that got assassinated, and the Ukrainians are getting a little too cocky for my liking. They're getting a little too fucking cute, and they're gonna spark off something that's not good for the rest of the world. It's already not good for Ukraine, but I'm thinking it's about to get a lot worse. So, in response to all this, to this bombing of the bridge, Putin just unleashed hell on kind of everywhere in Ukraine. They hit Kiev, they hit Lviv, which is, I'll pop that back up on the screen, but Lviv is way over here on the western side, right up against, like I said, be Germany there. But they shelled Kiev, Lviv, all over, and I don't think they have a whole lot of like precision weaponry left. I think I would highly recommend the President's Daily Brief is a podcast about 20 minutes, Monday through Friday. He's a former CIA guy. He does a good job of just kind of reporting news. And he's done a good job of, I guess, analyzing the Ukraine situation. Breaking Points with Crystal and Sauger is an excellent news show. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but as far as just presenting news and news that you may not hear on your typical outlets, I think they do a good job. But one of the things they brought up is the chip shortage. So I believe it's like 82 to 85%. I can't remember if it's 82 or 85, but an astoundingly high percentage of all the microchips or semiconductors or whatever the fuck that one little component is that makes all of our electronics work. 82 or 85% of them are all made in Taiwan at this one plant. And with all these sanctions that we put on Russia, it hasn't really affected their economy like we'd have liked. However, there's certain aspects of the economy that has really hit hard, and one of those being the microprocessors, the chips, the semiconductors, whatever the fuck it is. Like I said, that little piece of electronic hardware that makes all the electronic devices work. There's a shortage of those everywhere in the world, and nowhere more probably than Russia. And all those, all their precision guided missiles and all that stuff. Well, those are kind of single use, because they blow up. And so once they blow up, then tracking, all that stuff gets blown up with it. and they've used a ton of that already, and they've kind of depleted their arsenal, and now they're having a manufacturing and procurement issue, and they're they're at the point now where they're repurposing a lot of like civilian electronic devices, and just so they can keep this war effort going. So, and it's also Russia. Their stuff is pretty good, but it's also Russia. They're some of it's not great, and so a lot of these missile strikes seemed pretty like they were just indiscriminately bombing uh, civilian centers. And if you listen to Western media, that's exactly what they'll say, that it's a madman and he's just lost all control and he's just throwing bombs everywhere, which is kind of true. Uh, but it seems like they've mostly targeted infrastructure and energy infrastructure and things of the like. There has been plenty of civilian damage, and the way I can tell you that it's not an indiscriminate bombing, because it was, I think he hit 6 different cities and something like 40 different missile strikes, and the they're reporting 19 dead, which is still, that's probably most of them civilians, but in that big of a missile strike and only 19 people died, I would say there wasn't just carpet bombing the population. It seems like those were pretty well targeted strikes, or just really shitty execution. If they were trying to just kill a bunch of people and be like, and send a message, they did a shitty job of that. They only got 19. So I don't know. That could also be possible. This is Russia we're talking about. Like, go follow the account. Look at this. Look at that Russian. Look at this Russian on. It's either that Russian or this. Look at that Russian on Instagram, and it's awesome. Like, just go down that rabbit hole for a little bit. You won't regret it. And then you just remember, that's who we're dealing with here. They're different breed over there. Different breed. But moving along now, that on the domestic front, I don't know where this Russia deal is going, but there doesn't seem to be any real effort to try to get it to stop, and that's pretty concerning. But on the domestic front, things are way better, way better. So this is from CNN interview with Biden, Jake Tapper, and Uncle Joe. Well, the previous 2 quarters, GDP shrank, and the technical, literal definition that we've used forever is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth equals a recession. And we've had that already, but hadn't happened yet. Look. So much legislation. Uh, 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 Dropped his cheat sheet. Automaticity. Let me. Let's. Automaticity. That's a new one. I'll have to look that one up. I don't know if I've heard that one before. And I've got a pretty decent sized vocabulary. And I don't know if I've heard that one. Automaticity. Automaticity. Huh. Oh, it's happened. So we're not in a recession. It's not. There's a slight chance of a slight. There's a chance of a slight recession. Don't forget the last 6 months. He talks about 6 months ahead. But forget the last 6 months where the economy shrank overall, both quarters, which would most of the time would mean recession, but not this time. Not this time. Not only technically. Technical recession. Just like it was passive inflation. And now it turns out it was not passive at all. I mean, it was actually such a big issue that they passed a Green New Deal bill that was called the Inflation Reduction Act, because people were worried about getting inflation under control, and they still are. But that was, it was passive, and then Putin did it all. Putin did it, and what a we're living in 1984. It's just no, that's not, history didn't happen like that. We changed history, remember? We changed this the other day. Did you not get the memo? It was in the daily hate, the 2-minute hate, that we changed this part of history. So like, get your facts straight. We're not in a recession, and it's not going to happen. But Putin might definitely use nuclear weapons, so we gotta throw more weapons into Ukraine to deter him from using nuclear weapons or something along those. I get stuff mixed up. Speaking of getting stuff mixed up, if you're mixed up about what gender you are, that's not an issue anymore. And in fact, if people don't acknowledge your gender that you prefer and how you're feeling at all times, they're probably a Nazi. Girls banned from locker room after conflict with transgender student. Kate Bowen sent this to me. This is from Randolph Union High School, somewhere in Vermont. Girls volleyball team of Randolph Union High School has been banned from its locker room pending school investigation of a conflict with a biological male self-identifying transgender student using the room with the rest of the team. And at least one girl on the team is facing school bullying and harassment charges. And this was, when was this? This is September 29th, so it's pretty recent. According to WCAX, team member Blake Allen said a transgender student made an inappropriate comment when the team was changing in the locker room. WCAX reports, Allen, I feel like for stating my opinion that I don't want a biological man changing with me, that I should not have harassment charges or bullying charges. They should all be dropped. Allen says that the dispute started when the trans student made an inappropriate comment while members of the volleyball team were getting changed. She said her issue was not with having the trans student on the team or at school, but specifically in the locker room. There are biological boys that go into the girls' bathroom, but never a locker room, Allen said. Allen added that the girls were given the option of changing in a single private stall. This is awesome. In an email to families, school officials wrote that the school has plenty of space where students who feel uncomfortable with the laws may change in privacy. They want all the girls who feel uncomfortable, so pretty much 10 girls, to get changed in a single stall bathroom, which would take over 30 minutes, or if one person got changed separately, it would take a minute, like no extra time. School officials contacted by Vermont Daily Chronicle this morning refused to provide a copy of the letter sent to parents or to provide specific comment on the incident. Instead, principals Katie Sutton and Lisa Floyd outlined how they handle student harassment. Student safety is our district's highest priority. We always do our best to maintain a supportive learning environment for all of our students. The district has policies and procedures to respond to student harassment based on protected characteristics or other misconduct. We are not able to discuss any specific students because of federal privacy laws. However, when we become aware that there has been a violation of our policies, including harassment of other students, we respond immediately. Where the policies and expectations are violated, we take disciplinary action consistent with the law and reasonably calculated to prevent further misconduct. We do our best to give victims supportive measures. So the victim in this case is a dude, not only just getting away with murder, essentially, just yucking it up with all the chicks on the volleyball team. Was it volleyball? Yeah, girls volleyball team. So I'm guessing this dude couldn't play football. Probably would get beat up in wrestling, but maybe he just really likes volleyball. I don't know. Maybe he is actually a transgender person that just hasn't transitioned yet. But either way, not only is he's getting away with murder on this deal, being on the girls' volleyball team, getting to use the girls' bathrooms, but now he's in the girls' locker room changing with them, and he's also making inappropriate comments, probably something related to his dick, I would imagine. Or I wonder if he's just like throwing around the most like misogynistic just pig comments, like nice cans, toots. I just picture him as like a 1950s. Yeah, I like them gams there. And he's like talking on the phone, to his boys. He's like, you ought to see the muff on these broads, and they're, I don't know what exactly, but they said it was over an inappropriate comment and the fact that he was in the locker room. And the response from the school is not to be like, hey, can you just change somewhere else, guy? They're like, no, you girls, if you're uncomfortable, you can change alone. And so they provided a single stall bathroom for the rest of the volleyball team to go change single file to accommodate a dude on the women's volleyball team. What a world we live in. Awesome. Men are so awesome. You know what? We fucking rule. You don't like it? You don't like it, skirts? You can leave. Change in your own bathroom. Oh yeah, it's single stall. And he's just in there spread eagle, putting on his jock strap, tucking back the old wiener. So it makes it look more legit when he goes out to just crush these bitches in volleyball. Yeah. He's just like one leg up. I would do it. Man, maybe I gotta do it. He's got like one leg up. Can't see it from the camera angle, but just spread eagle. Just maybe just really getting in there, not just scratching the balls, but like really getting up there in the taint. Just letting him have an eyeful. And he's like, you fucking bigots don't want to change with me? Fucking bigots. What a world. Men are awesome. Men are fucking awesome. I loved it. And speaking of awesome, I am now fully back on board with Kanye West for president. Like, fully on board. So first off, we got the White Lives Matter shirt, which seems weird. But so it was Kanye and where's he at? Candace Owens, I believe. Yeah, they showed up. It was at like Paris Fashion Week or something. I don't get the fashion world at all. But Kanye is big into the fashion world, I guess. But anyway, White Lives Matter caused a whole big stink. People didn't like that. You know, why so much? I don't know, but they really don't like that. And then he also went like, I know the KKK and the Nazis they're not really down with the black guys at all, but I know they both of those groups kind of hate the Jews, and now like I'm not sure if they want Kanye on their side or not, but he seems to like kind of be lining up with them. So he tweeted, and I guess he deleted it shortly after, but I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people's all caps. The funny thing is I can't actually be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. And then he also posted screenshots of him talking with P. Diddy, and he was telling Diddy how he was going to use him as an example of how the Jews are trying to get him. And it seems like he's gone like at least partially Black Israelite, which is like a black extremist group. I don't know if they've got like some extreme theories, but I don't know if you call them an extremist group like on the same level you'd put the KKK. I don't think they've done anything really violent. I think they just have a lot of weird, aggressive, and kind of angry rhetoric towards white people in general, but also other blacks and other Jews, if you take them at their word that they're the true Jews. It's a whole weird deal. I don't understand it. Maybe I'll have to do a whole episode on the black Israelites. I think they're called like the black Hebrew Israelites. I'm not for sure. Maybe that'll be a future podcast. But either way, Kanye is going ham on the Jews, and I'm not sure what for. I wonder if it's like the standard. They control the media. They control the banks, like that's the standard anti-Semitic stuff, or is he going to get real creative? Because remember, Kanye is a fucking artistic genius. So if he's got another conspiracy theory about the Jews, I'm not going to say I believe it, but I'm here for it. I'm ready for Kanye on the campaign trail. Just like have all these Aryan groups and like the Klan like have their heads exploding because like I heard it was a black guy. But goddamn it, I agree with him. I hate them Jews. I hope nobody clips that out of context. But yeah, can you imagine? Like he just is Kanye gonna be the new Hitler? Like, will people follow Kanye? Black Hitler. Oh, and I think if I remember correctly, Hitler had some Jewish lineage in his Wayback Machine. So, I mean, is he a black Jew? Just like Hitler was kind of a Jew himself. Hitler was the original self-loathing Jew. Really loved themselves as well as the other Jews. But or is Kanye just like is he just venting? I don't know. That dude, I don't think is mentally stable. But you'll see the conservatives really propping him up here, because the White Lives Matter, they like that, and they'll kind of slide the whole anti-Semitic stuff under under the rug. Why we don't want to. Let's talk more about the White Lives Mattering and not so much about the Jews controlling stuff. Let's refocus on the white people here, okay, Kanye. But yeah, Black Hitler. That would be funny. I'm here for it. I want to see it happen. I would really enjoy that, very much so. Before we get out of here, there's a pretty important case being argued before the Supreme Court. I believe they've had the oral arguments so far, but it's over California Proposition 12, which basically bans, not only does it ban farrowing crates in the pork industry, but it also bans the sale of pork that was produced using farrowing crates. So I don't know much about the hog business, particularly the big industrial hog plants. That's kind of out of my area of expertise. I try to stick with cows and horses, and that's about it. But essentially, it would impose California regulations for the pork production on the other 49 states. California being such a huge market that it'd be more expensive to become California compliant just for California, and then continue about their business everywhere else. So essentially, they have to retrofit their entire operation to meet these insane California lefty animal rights stupid laws. So and regulations. So this is from Meeting Place. This was today. Both sides struck an optimistic tone Tuesday after presenting oral arguments to the U.S. Supreme Court in National Pork Producers Council versus Ross, either in support or challenging the constitutionality of California's Proposition 12. We feel confident we are on the right side of history and that Proposition 12 standards are consistent with broadly shared values that unite Americans of many persuasions, wrote Humane Society of the U.S. CEO Kitty Block. HSUS is a dog shit organization. Fuck those people. In a blog post on the organization's website, co-authored with Sarah Amundsen, president of the Humane Society Legislative Fund, Jeffrey Lamkin, an attorney for HSUS, argued before the court in support of the state law. On the other hand, after Day will win this deal, said Terry Walters, president of the National Pork Producers Council, at a media briefing Tuesday afternoon. We feel very hopeful after today's arguments challenging the law. Travis Cushman, the American Farm Bureau Federation's Deputy General Counsel, Litigation and Public Policy, told a gathering, American Farm Bureau is a plaintiff in the case along with the pork producers. The arguments went on for just over 2 hours in the morning, with the pork producers and Farm Bureau arguing that the 2018 proposition approved by California voters violates the Constitution's Commerce Clause from having one state issue production mandates to others. Prop 12 bans the sale of pork in the state if the pigs were raised in breeding pens that don't let them turn around. So the reason they use those farrowing crates is to keep the sow from just smashing all the piglets. So they kind of keep her where she can't move. The piglets can all get up there and suck, and then it's not the I don't know exactly what it is with pigs. because very rarely do you have a cow that just like rolls over and crushes their baby. There's some stupid cows, but I've not seen that one yet. And I've seen a lot of stupid. Calved a lot of heifers. I've seen some stupid shit, but I've not seen them like roll over and crush their calf like these sows do. But like I said, I'm not a pig guy, so I don't know. However, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview I did with what was his name? John Yearwood? No, that's a guy coming up. But anyway, Jonathan Woods with the Hog Wild book. That was fun. I enjoyed that guy. He was fun to talk to. Speaking of pigs. But anyways, you can find that episode last week, I believe. Yeah. But Burning Daylight feed if you're interested. That was a wild book. I recommend it though. Pork producer said if Prop 12 were upheld, that would lead to inspectors from California dictating the rules to producers in the other 49 states, not to mention Canada and Mexico, according to Michael Formica, the pork producer's chief legal strategist. Close questioning by all the justices in attendance sought clarity on how upholding or striking down California's law would have a ripple effect on other interstate commerce, such as sales of vehicles made in one state that have to meet another state's emission standards. The justices also indicated interest on the role of morals in the case. Many Prop 12 supporters believe most existing swine production systems are inhumane, a position the industry rejects. Lawyers for both sides acknowledged in response to the questions that however the court decides, Congress could render the decision moot by enacting federal legislation that, for example, standardized animal handling regulations nationwide. That sounds like a terrible idea. This is a pretty important case because as they mentioned there, I was going to bring it up. I forgot they mentioned it in the article, but not only does this go, the pork is specifically what they're looking at as the pork regulations, but that also could apply to say this California compliant semis. There was a bunch of people particularly over here in Nevada that just stopped hauling over into California because they were gonna have to upgrade their trucks. A lot of times to a shittier truck because it's got all the emissions bullshit on it. And it was a pretty big deal. And now when California's not going to be selling any more internal combustion engine vehicles past 2035, that also drives the entire market for the rest of the country. So it's a very important case with a lot of consequences that could come down from it. So I really hope they rule against. I'm for the most part I'm very much a states' rights person, but Constitution is very specific on the interstate commerce. When it deals with interstate commerce, then the feds have jurisdiction, and I really hope they realize what a stupid move this is, and how it's designed to just undercut production agriculture, particularly animal agriculture. They go after the hog and the poultry industry quite a bit because it's a little more of an easy target. You can cram a lot more animals in hogs and chickens into a small space than you can cattle. But it's however you feel about factory farming, or however you want to call it, confined animal operations, they're kind of necessary. They're not, it's the whole how the sausage is made deal. Like, do you like the burger? Do you like the bacon? And how much do you like it? And how much do you really care about the welfare of these animals? I'm not saying that the welfare is bad. I have no experience in those hog farms or the big chicken barns. I don't have any experience, but I've been in a lot of big feedlots, and it's not glamorous, but I don't think it's inhumane by any means. And the way our food system is set up, they're necessary, and they're actually a good thing. It helps us raise more beef in a timely manner. So I don't know. It's one of those. It's a really a big conversation that has to be had with the urban population that eats all the food that we produce. Like, how much do you like that food? Because the way you're headed, there's not going to be much more of it. You're putting people out of business, and all of a sudden, then beef's going to be hard to find. And well, maybe you'll turn a blind eye to it then when when the meat case is empty. You're like, maybe those feedlots and hog farms, maybe they weren't so bad after all. I mean, I really, it didn't really affect me, and at the end of the day, I don't know. But until that happens, where people kind of come to a grip with how food is actually made, this will be a conversation we're having. But I really hope we won't know till probably June. Is usually when they release the Supreme Court rulings. So, we won't know on that one for a while. But I will say, for all Trump's faults, he did reshape the Supreme Court. So, for the good overall, I think so. I think they'll probably rule in favor of pork producers and not the state of California on that one. But who knows? Who the fuck knows? I asked Kate earlier today after reading some of these articles of all the trans shit that has been shoved down everybody's throats, and now like they're moving on past trans and on to pedophilia. They're trying to normalize that too, and I was wondering, and this kind of ties in with Black Hitler, has there ever been a genocide that was widely accepted as a good thing after the fact? I mean, most genocides, while they're happening, the people that are committing them think it's a good thing. The Nazis really thought that the Jews were the scourge of the earth, so they really wanted to get them. In Rwanda, I forget what the two tribes were, but like they legit, the one doing all the exterminating, they either legit thought or they just used it. Probably a little bit of both, but I don't think you get to that level of a genocide without some like true believer, still in there. And so I think most of the genocides throughout the world, at least we'll just say here, in the 20th and 21st century, they were regarded as a good thing by the people performing them, and then widely condemned after the fact by pretty much the entire world. And while the people that committed them, they either refused to admit to it or they just kind of not like to talk about that. But I've never heard of one that was widely regarded as a good thing after the fact. And I wonder, how widely accepted would a genocide of pedophiles be accepted? I think it'd be over 50%. I could be wrong. I'm not going to gamble on it. We talked about gambling already this week. But I won't bet on it, but I think it'd be over 50% of people that'd be like, maybe it doesn't really sit well with me, but I don't hate it. Yeah, any of these people that I'm of the opinion that, like, if you're wanting to fuck kids or try to groom kids into being fucked by adults, I don't think you belong on the earth anymore. I don't think you can be fixed. I don't think, no, just, I said, there's certain things that a wood chipper is appropriate for, and I think pedophilia is one of them. And so, I won't put that as I have an option to put that as a poll on Spotify, but I'll just send me your thoughts. Would a wood chipper genocide of all pedophiles would as a good thing after the fact? I'd be curious to what everybody thinks. I think it would be pretty widely accepted as a good thing, but like I said, I could be wrong. Anyways, that's all speculation, and this is a comedy show, Mr. Government Bureau of Misinformation person. Oh yeah, speaking of which, fuck PayPal too. Fuck PayPal. I'm gonna be shutting down all my PayPal accounts. I've got to reorganize my stuff, but they released a policy update, quickly retracted it over the weekend, but part of their new policy agreement was they reserved the right to fine anybody up to $2,500 for any violation of their policy, their policy terms, including the spreading of misinformation. Who determines what misinformation is? Well, somebody at the government, and we know how that works. So yeah, they reversed course, and they said that was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be in our final policy agreement, but you still had it down as an option somewhere. Like if that was never intended, you should have never typed it in there. But yeah, there was some internet sleuths that looked it all up, found the metadata and everything, and found that, oh no, this has been in there for quite some time, and they've been working on it constantly since it was in there, and so it was very much, it was very much meant to be in there. They just it took Elon and the other like co-founder of PayPal, the original like owners of PayPal, to say, hey, this goes against everything that this was supposed to be. This is fucked up. And they finally retracted it. But either way, which sucks. I think Venmo is a great way to transfer money to people. But fuck that. Fuck PayPal. So I guess I'll be on. I think my payment processor is Stripe on the website, and I think that's who does through. I'm not sure who Patreon is. I think. Fuck, we may have to move off of Patreon. I don't know. I've been looking at other outfits anyways. So speaking of which, patreon.com/burning-daylight. If there is an option to use something besides PayPal, please do that. I don't care how you give me money necessarily, but I'm not going to use PayPal because fuck them. And I don't think you should either because fuck them. They're gonna get in bed with the government like that. They don't need my business. There's not a lot of other options out there, but there are options, and I'll use them instead. So anyways, patreon.com/burning-daylight if you'd like to support the show, get some extra content, and get all the episodes released a little bit early. Go sign up there, or you can buy the episodes on Spotify or sign up there. It's $4.99 a month, $5 on Patreon. So it's the starting point there. So anyways, that's the best way to help out the show, and you get a little extra content, and get a few extra perks too. So anyways, I appreciate you all tuning in. Hope you have a good week. Get ready for World War III and Black Hitler. Can't wait. Can't fucking wait. So on that note, move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning together, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.